In this video, I'm going to go through how to create a Snapshot app. This is an app which captures information at the end of the month. So for example, if you have an app that you will be changing the data in quite frequently, but you need to know the end of the month data, then you can use a Snapshot app to pull this information into, and then this will be used as a month-end database. So for a Snapshot app, you will need the parent app. So this is the app that you will store your data in, and then you can pull this data into the Snapshot app. So we have a risk register here, and the information that I want to pull into the Snapshot app are the financial impacts, so worst, expected, and best. Then you will need to create the Snapshot app itself. This will be a child app to your risk register or your financial app or whatever app you're using that you want the data pulled from. So go into App Studio, create an app, call it something like Snapshot app, give it a brief description. So capturing month-end data, snapshots, title field, identifier and label. So I'm going to call this risk ID and then click save. Once you have done this, you will have created this new Snapshot app. And then there are fields that you need to add in. So we recommend having a template in the Snapshot app that pulls information from the parent app. So these are things like risk ID, owner, risk name, risk category, but it can be any of the key parts of your original parent app, anything that you want to be pulled down into the snapshot. So in order to do this, you would create a new field for each of these sets of data. So for example, risk ID, and then I have put in an expression, which is a parent expression. So is null parent.risk ID, and then if there is no parent, then it will say no parent or incorrect field ID. And once you've repeated that with the number of fields that you want to pull down from the parent app, you can then create a template. So I've created a template called risk details, and I've put in all of the fields that are pulling information down from the risk, as you can see here. Other fields that you'll need is a record created field. So this will be a date field. And in the expression, you'll need to put created date. So this will capture the day that the record is created, so the month end, basically. Then you'll need to create another field. This will be a bit field, and you'll call it master. This is because the way that Snapshot apps work is you need to do copy and link. And in order to do copy and link, you need to have a base template, which will be your master template. And we'll come back to that. So create a bit field, call it master. Then set up the fields that you want to pull down into the Snapshot app. So as mentioned previously, I want to pull in financial impact worst, expected, and best. The way to do that is I created one number field for each of these. But then in the expression box, instead of adding in a parent expression into here, you add it into the default initial value and then click process as expression. The reason for this is that if you are continuously changing the data in the parent app, if this were an expression, it would keep pulling in every new change of data. And that's not what you want for a Snapshot app, because you want it to be capturing just that one point in time, the month end. So you put it as a default initial value, because then this expression will only run once when the record is created, which will be the first of the month to capture last month's data. And then it will stop and it won't run the expression again. So do this for any fields that you want to pull down from the parent app as a snapshot. So I've got impact best, expected, and worst. And then just because I want the layout to look a bit different, instead of using the number fields, I wanted to use a grid field. So all I've done is in the grid field, I have used an expression to reference those other fields with the default initial value in. The reason why I haven't used default initial value straight into the grid is because there isn't a way of adding a default initial value into a grid. It's only an expression. So I have to create the number fields, which have the default initial value, and then reference the number fields within the grid so that the information is pulled into a grid format. Then set up the template for pulling in the information. So I have set up a template called Action Data. This is the month, year, financial impact, and then I've also created a chart. The month, year is another expression that you need to be able to do, and this is here. So create a text field and then paste in this expression. It is written on the community post, so you'll be able to select it and copy it directly from there. But what this expression actually means is that if the month of the date now, so if the month now is 1, so January, then if it's a valid date, string, which is the conversion from number to text, the year of the date now minus 1. The reason for this is that if you're taking a snapshot on the 1st of January, that is data from December, the previous year. So you need to have the date now, well, the year of the date minus 1. For example, if this were done in January 2023, then the data itself would be capturing the month end for December 2022. And then put in a dash and 12. So what this will say is 2022-12, December 2022. And then the rest of the expression is for any other month. So if it's a valid date, then string the year plus the month minus 1, because this will be run on the 1st of the month. So it's looking at the previous month's data. This is just to make sure that there is a 0 in front of any number that is lower than 10. So after you've done that, I would add that into the same template as the financial impact grid or whatever data you're pulling in. So month, year, and then the financial impact grid. And then all you'll need to do is publish this child app. And then once you have done this, you can go back home and into your parent app. In the workflow of the parent app, you will need to create a copy and link. But first of all, make sure you have integrated the child app here. So you add child app, pick your child app. In this case, we've got the snapshot, and then press OK. I would always suggest adding the auto archive, auto delete, and then no force for the link. Go into the workflow and create a new workflow. Call it Snapshot. This will be a scheduled workflow. So trigger on date. You want the 1st of the month. It can be this month or the next month. It's probably best for me to do it in November. Trigger at, probably best to do it in the morning before anyone is working. So I've done it at 6 a.m. London time. I want it to repeat every month, and I want it to repeat on certain days. So on the 1st of every single month, this workflow will trigger. Select a user. This has got to be an admin user, or at least a user who has access to all of the records. This is because the user's permissions, i.e. how many records they can see, is dictated in this workflow. So if you put in a user who only sees 1 out of every 10 records, then this workflow will only work for those 1 out of every 10. So for myself, I've just put my own user there. Okay, you do not need a filter. You just go straight to an action. So you want update record, copy and link, target app, snapshot app. And for the filter, all you need is for the master to be true. Ignore access rights and make sure you click template copy. Okay, so you've created that one there. I've just deleted it because that was just a duplicate to show you how to do it, but this is what you should see. Scheduled and update. And then you can click publish. Also, I had this written in the community post, but I forgot for a second. So back in the child app for a second, we need to find the bit field. I forgot to say that you need to tick this, exclude this field from templated record copies. This is because you don't want records to be copied whilst having the master bit field ticked, because then you end up with a whole load of master records when actually you only need one. Okay, so we've set up the fields and the workflow, and we've integrated the apps. So the next thing to do is to create your master record in the child app. So come back into Workspace, go to the Snapshot app, create a new record, and click Master. You don't need to have anything else because it will not be linked to a parent field, and it will have the month and the year right now, but you don't need that at the moment. So I have now duplicated the master record, so I'm just going to archive one of them. So if you want to capture the data now, just to test it, which we suggest you always test whenever you create something in SoftTools, you can go back into the workflow you've created and run the scheduled workflow. You can go back into the workflow that you created and run the scheduled workflow. Once this is run, what you should see is going into the Risk Register app, the parent app, you should be able to open up a record and then see a new child created. So this is how you create a Snapshot app. I hope this has helped. Please reach out if you have any questions or comments on this video. Thank you very much.